Welcome to the Do Good Maverick Go podcast, episode number 79. Prolific podcasting. Can it lead to profound profits? When it comes to podcasting, it can oftentimes be hard to really determine how much people are profiting from it because a lot of people that have podcasts, they also have a business and they're oftentimes using the podcast as a way to generate leads and also to improve the relationships and increase that KLT, know, like, and trust factor with their audience, things like that. So, yeah, it can be hard to determine exactly how much of their profits are coming from their podcast versus their business. There are podcasts and podcasters out there that are purely doing podcasting, and yeah, some of them are really profitable. But yeah, actually, for my own online education and community platform, terrific30.com, I'm actually in the process of interviewing multiple podcasting success stories, people that are making at least $10,000 in profit with a podcast per month, and yeah, 30 success stories like that. I'm going to turn them into, yeah, a course, community, and book. But so far, I've only done a few of them. But it's been fascinating. One of the guys I interviewed, his English was actually pretty bad. He had a kind of, was it an Indian slash Pakistani accent? You could hear, yeah. What? How should I explain it? It was a great guy. I have nothing against him. So I don't mean this in a negative way. I mean it is in an inspiring way. Even without excellent English, he had made a podcast. It was in English, where he had interviewed around 300 people, and at this point, he was making around $10,000 in profit per month. And yeah, it's in his case, it was pretty much a podcast, and that was it because he had a job as well. So for in his case, he was running the podcast on the side, but at this point, he could probably quit his job and do podcasting a few hours per week instead. But yeah, so that's one case that I know of that a person made about $10,000 in profit per month from a podcast. And what niche was it? Because that also plays a big part. His niche, I'm sorry, his niche was, I think it was tech startups or something like that. So it was kind of like a business podcast, but yeah. But if you use your own podcast and prolific podcasting, the title of this podcast episode is Prolific Podcasting. Can it lead to profound profits? And when we talk about prolific podcasting, I think there's kind of two things here. One thing is starting and running your own podcast and doing a lot of it. The other one is being interviewed on a bunch of other people's podcasts or both. So yeah. But when it comes to running your own podcast, I think it should be part of a larger strategy of having your own personal brand. That's my opinion. So I think you should have both a podcast and a blog, and use the content from those and repurpose it into short form videos and things like that, and post on a bunch of other platforms like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, Facebook. But kind of as one of the centerpiece content creation, one of the main things to focus on yourself when it comes to content creation, I think, should be your own podcast episodes and blog posts and being interviewed on podcast. And then you can have editors, or maybe even clippers, as they call them, to edit out a bunch of short form video clips and post it for you on social media as well. And if you do that, if you have all that as part of your strategy, and you're also building your email list and SMS phone number list, if you have all of that in your own strategy, and maybe also have your own offer as well, maybe a paid community, then I definitely think that prolific podcasting can lead to pretty profound profits. And when it comes to being interviewed on other people's podcasts, if done correctly and you have something to promote, yeah, I definitely think it can be something that can lead to profound profits as well. Because it seems to be a thing that is really trending these days. Even Donald Trump, during the election, he went on a bunch of podcasts and got interviewed. Why? Probably because it works. And when it comes to online marketers and people making money online as well these days, a lot of them are focusing more and more on being interviewed on podcasts. And if they do it and they keep doing it over and over again, I guess it is because it's working. When it comes to a lot of the advice that people are giving online these days about how to make money online, things like that. My advice to you is don't just listen to what they say, look at what they do. And what are a lot of them doing? A lot of them are being interviewed on a bunch of podcasts. So it might be a great idea. Now, like I said, I'm not an expert. I've been failing for years, so you should be careful who you take advice from. But prolific podcasting, it can definitely be valuable. Just look around at the results out there. And a fascinating thing about podcasting is that if you do it well, if you share a bunch of valuable things, it can have a tremendous impact on other people's lives as well. It's not just about promoting things and profiting from it, but also the impact, the difference you make. So that's valuable and extremely inspiring as well. Prolific podcasting, prolific, so I mean doing a lot of it. And by prolific, it doesn't have to be that extreme, but doing a bunch of it. And if you hire, it depends on your budget and things like that. But what some people are doing is that they are hiring either podcast bookers, or what's the other thing that it's called? I think it's something like a PR agency or media agency, something like that. My point is, some people are hiring experts to help them book interviews on podcasts. A lot of people are doing it before they're launching books. Authors oftentimes they go on a podcast tour just before they're launching their books. Maybe they're working for a year or two, or a few months on writing their book. And when it comes to the launch date for their book, maybe before the launch date, maybe they get interviewed on a few dozen different podcasts in the span of just like a few weeks. And then they make a deal with those podcasts that when that date arrives, then on that exact date, then you're posting the interview. And they do this with a bunch of podcasts. And once that date arrives, it's also the launch date for their book. And the amount of exposure they are getting from campaigns like that is amazing. And in those cases, when they are doing it with the help of people that help them book, they can do tens or dozens of podcast interviews in like just a few short weeks. So that's fascinating. If you don't have the budget to hire experts like that, maybe you can use, in some cases, cold emailing if you have the email address for the right niche of podcasts. And there's also a few podcast booking platforms out there as well that you can use to reach out to podcasters. I've actually gotten a deal to interview a guy about podcast booking for my online education and community platform, terrific30.com. But at the time of this recording, I have not interviewed him just yet. But yeah, prolific podcasting. The statistics when it comes to podcasts is pretty fascinating. What it takes to become one of the top 1% of podcasts in the world is basically 20 podcast episodes. So if you record and post 20 podcast episodes, you are among the top 1% of podcasts in the world. That's pretty mind-boggling. In other words, almost all podcasts that are started, they're quitting after just a few episodes. I think it was something like 93% of all podcasts in the world that are started, they quit before they have made 9 episodes. Or was it 3 episodes? Just a few episodes. And yeah, like 99% of them, they quit before they have published 20 episodes. So yeah, oftentimes the way to great quality is through great quantity. And with many things, it's oftentimes just a volume game, not just volume alone, but volume. Just keep going until you get better and just don't quit. Sometimes we overcomplicate things, and like like Dan Pena says, perfection equals paralysis. Prolific podcasting, can it lead to profound profits? Yes, if you do it the right way. Like I said, I'm absolutely not an expert, but one way that I am planning to use podcasts myself is my own podcast to promote my own paid community. And in my case, it's not just a community, but my online education and community platform, terrific30.com. And one of the courses and communities that I'm focusing on a lot now in the beginning is communitycashcows.com. It is a part of terrific30.com, but yeah, communitycashcows.com. So I'm recording podcasts for my own podcast, but I'm also planning to be interviewed on a bunch of other podcasts as well. And then I can talk about a bunch of the things that I have learned from interviewing a bunch of real life success stories of people that are making at least $10,000 in profit per month with a paid community. Yeah. If you have an offer to promote, getting interviewed on a bunch of podcasts might be a great idea. And the thing is, even if you don't have an offer to promote, maybe you don't have something you're selling, what you can do is that you can make your own lead magnet, basically something that you're giving away for free in exchange for people to sign up to your email list and phone number or text message list. But they have to opt in. Maybe you have a free ebook or a free special report, something like that, where people have to give their email address and phone number in order to get access. If you do something like that, then you can build your list, and then once you have your list, you can use that to promote other people's offers as well as an affiliate. Or later on, you can also, of course, launch your own offers as well. And by the way, one other thing that I think I should mention when it comes to podcasts and ways to profit from it. The thing is, when it comes to podcasts and bloggers and YouTubers, a lot of them have massive audiences, and a lot of them also have a lot of trust, a lot of know, like, and trust with their audience. But what I see over and over again is that a lot of them are not really monetizing their audience in very productive ways. There's a lot of big bloggers out there, like massive bloggers. One of actually, I sent an email, or was it on Facebook? I chatted with a lady that had a massive podcast, and I think she was a New York Times best-selling author. She was an author of a best-selling book, one or two best-selling books, something like that. But the thing is, her book was about money as well. But the thing is, she was not even collecting emails on her blog. That's like, it's almost like making money online. One of the most fundamental things is the money is in the list. Build your email list and mail your email list. That's one of the most important things. And I reached out to her and I was just, in a polite way, I asked her why she was not building her email list, or I gave her advice. Hey, you should build an email list. You're doing a great job with these other things. You should build an email list. Something like that, I told her. But she basically almost exploded into a temper tantrum. Oh, okay. So, my point is that's one example. There are thousands of examples like that of big bloggers, podcasters, and YouTubers, especially, but also other influencers and people online that are making a lot of money, but they're not monetizing it that well. Not just that they have, some of them are making a lot of money, some of them are just making good money, but they have a lot of attention and a big audience. And the point I'm getting to is that if you're going to generate a lot of profit with your podcast, you should do the most of it when it comes to monetizing it. So build your email list, build your list, and when you collect emails, also collect the phone numbers, because then you can sometimes send them a text message as well. Build your email list, and I would also suggest repurpose your content and post it on multiple different platforms. if you do that, you can let's take an example. One podcast, you have 10,000 downloads per month. Another podcast has the exact same amount of downloads per month in the exact same niche category. It's almost identical, but one of them is only monetizing his podcast the typical podcaster way of getting sponsors and paid ads, that kind of stuff. And the other one, he is also doing that, but at the same time, he's also building his email list, and he's also getting an editor to edit out a bunch of short form video content and repurposing it and posting it on a bunch of different platforms. So he's really doing a lot to monetize it. And yeah, building his email list and then mailing his email list daily or at least several times per week, promoting different offers. In a scenario like that, the podcast that really monetized it properly, you could make like 10 times more than the other podcast. The same with YouTubers as well, and bloggers, and also a bunch of influencers. So yeah, to me it seems like a lot of things that are completely basic stuff and common sense to a lot of online marketers or direct response marketers when it comes to especially things like podcasters, bloggers, and YouTubers. It's like they don't even know that those things are common sense. They don't even know that having an email newsletter is a valuable thing. So that's a lot of the reasons for many of them not making nearly as much money as they could be making. Yeah. Anyway, I guess I'm rambling on here, but yeah, podcasting. It used to be trending a few years ago. A lot of people think that it's not really that big these days, but it is. So yeah, it might be worth looking into. And if you want to find your own way of getting to profound profit, your own way to profit from a podcast, maybe you should start your own paid community. To find out more about that, I suggest you learn from other real life success stories. Success leaves clues. And like the Bible advises us to, we should have a multitude of counselors, a multitude of advisors, get advice from a multitude of people. So go check out communitycashcows.com and learn from a bunch of real life success stories. You can also search for success stories online. It exists, but it can be hard to sift through them. And in my experience, when I find those real life success stories online, when I search, it's usually more surface level articles and stuff like that. But the way I do my interviews with these real life success stories, we really go into the depth of a lot of things. It's pretty comprehensive. It's not just a 20-minute podcast interview. So yeah. Anyway, if you want to check it out, go to communitycashcows.com. All right. God bless.